this episode of Ben Yomo, we got to get serious and make some kosher cooking equipment that's important for us for our vacation, and that would be the barbecue grill. I think the barbecue grill is both the most challenging and exciting thing to kasher in a vacation rental. Now, you could always bring your own barbecue grill, but they're hard to fold up and put in suitcases. You could buy a barbecue grill wherever you happen to be, but it's important to remember that you'd be obligated to tovel it. It would be Heim Chayeinu. So let's take a look at the barbecue that you have on your back porch of your vacation rental and think about what we need to do in order to kasher it. Now, true libun doesn't require to be an Eino ben Yomo. A ben Yomo is acceptable for true libun because it's going to burn everything that's been absorbed into the grate. The question is, how do you affect a true libun on your barbecue grates that have direct food contact with non-kosher or chametz, or for whatever reason why you need to kasher it? Some people talk about blowtorches. We like to tell people you never have to kasher with a blowtorch. Kashering with a blowtorch is dangerous, and also kashering with a blowtorch is generally not effective. This is a standard type of a torch you might find in some kitchens. Easy to get, doesn't cost a lot of money. Very, very hot. You see it's a completely blue flame. We're going to try to kasher this until sparks fly off, until it glows red, which are really the two basic ways that we would consider libun gomer. We may not even get libun kal, which is the more lenient temperature.
Libun gomer, Chazal define, you find the Gemara defines libun gomer as in case you see the metal getting red hot, you see the metal glow. Or the Gemara says, in case you see nitzaisis nitazim mimenu, that in case you see sparks flying.
Some people might want to try a professional blowtorch, which is not such a good idea. It's dangerous, your children shouldn't play with it. But most of all, it's not going to kasher anything that effectively. Let's give it a shot. Now, if you hold it out long enough, it probably will get to a temperature of at least libun kal, but we require libun chomer. I can't imagine an effective way to blowtorch this for each part of it to get red hot. The fires itself in Shulchan Aruch, it's pretty clear that anything non-kosher that falls into the fire is immediately burnt and doesn't create an issue. In fact, that's the reason why we don't require separate burners on our stoves for milchik inflation. So you don't really need to kasher the areas that the fire directly burns. It's the food contact space that we're concerned with. And we're concerned there shouldn't be a piece of non-kosher food anywhere in the barbecue when you heat it up. That's the reason why we need to clean out the barbecue. Some would say that a true hot self-cleaning oven would be sufficient to kasher the barbecue grates. However, that is not something that everybody agrees to. The most practical and realistic way to kasher a barbecue is to cover the grates with charcoal in order to affect the libun gomer. However, for the rest of the barbecue, we're going to have to clean it. A great way to do this is to use 30-second spot cleaner from Easy Off, specially made for barbecues. The best charcoal to use is charcoal that will light itself, match light or minute light. What I'm going to do is I'm going to spread out the charcoal. There's a nice layer, like a carpet of charcoal all over the grates. The idea is to use enough charcoal, but not too much. Around the edges, where the food can touch the sides of the grill, we build up the charcoal a little bit. And in the middle, we'll just create a flat carpet. And we're going to let it burn for about an hour before we close the top. And the reason why we're not going to close the top in the beginning is because it could extinguish the charcoal. But once the charcoal is lit and ash is over, you close it, and it will kasher the rest of the grill as well. Charcoal gets over 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit, which is hot enough to cause the grates to glow. If you go to a park, it's probably a good idea to bring your own portable grill because it would take you hours and hours and hours to make the grill kosher. I hope this doesn't destroy his barbecue. The Gemara in Pesachim Daf Lamed says that if you want to kasher something like a griddle, you're memale begumri, you cover it with charcoal. After this fire goes out, these coals are going to glow red hot, and they're going to be even hotter than they are now. Now that the big fire is out and the coals are glowing red hot, I'm going to close the top very carefully and let the grill run until the coals burn out and are safe to remove. Nowadays, people have all kinds of interesting uses for their barbecues. People make fish on a barbecue, people make pizza on their barbecues. Generally speaking, fish and meat, and certainly cheese pizza and meat, don't go together in a kosher home. So having a separate barbecue for fish and for meat actually might be a smart way to go about things. Fish and meat can be cooked on the same kelim according to most customs, but not at the same time and not when there's residue from one to the other. If you had cleaned or covered the grates so there's no meat residue, according to many, you'd be able to cook the fish directly on it.
Even though we discussed how to kasher a barbecue grill, Lamaisa, it's very difficult to do so, challenging, and sometimes dangerous. Two practical aids are, number one, they make disposable grills. These, according to many paiskim, do not require tefillah. Even paiskim that require tefillah on throwaway aluminum pans, many of those paiskim are still makel here because throwaway aluminum pans are reusable. However, these throwaway barbecue grills, since definitively they're thrown away after one usage, do not require tefillah. Another eight is to bring your own barbecue grill. If it's a regular grill, it requires tefillah. There is no heter to use a regular grill even one time. In fact, you can't buy a pot and say, I want to use it one time without tefillah. The one-time heter that some places can give is based on the fact that it's made and meant to throw away. However, small grill that's a non-disposable grill that you use is not meant to throw away, and therefore l'chol hadayis, it requires tefillah, even if you want to use it one time. So what happens if you're on a vacation and you packed away a regular barbecue grill and you come to your destination and you realize that this grill has not been toiveled, so you can't use it unless you toivel it. If you're really stuck and there's no other option, you can be makna it to an Eni Yehudi, and then it becomes their property. They make a kinyan on it, it becomes theirs, and at that point it's patur from tefillah for very, very short-term usage, and then when you're done, you kind it back, and when you get home, you toivel it.
Let's say you have a self-cleaning oven, which will get rid of all the mamashas. Now, if it'll be considered kashering or not depends on whether you need that it should get red hot, which it doesn't do. You probably know that I've said that you can kasher an oven by just putting it on the highest setting or on broil for 40 minutes, and then it will be kosher. Of course, you've got to clean it first. So even though that is tashmish al dehar in an oven, and therefore parshas you should need libun gomer, and so okay, there's some shittas hold libun kal is enough, but we're not going to rely on that, especially when it comes to chametz on Pesach or isurim. So why did I say that? The reason why I said that is because it's rare to cook any chametz on the racks of the oven itself, or to cook or to bake any chametz on the bottom of the oven. It's always in a pan. That whatever you're baking is always in a pan. It's a cake pan, a cookie pan, or whatever. Even bread, you don't put them on the racks. As a matter of fact, if you put it on the rack, you will never be able to get it off the rack because the dough will go around the rack. And after it's all finished, the only way you get it off is if you rip it out, and you wouldn't have any shleimim, or if you need it for Shabbos. So since it's always done in a pan, as far as the belia of chametz that goes into the racks or the bottom of the oven is always going to be from one kli to another kli. In other words, the halachos that you're baking it gives taste into the pan which they're lying on. Then maybe some of this taste will go from the rack, from the pan to the rack. Well, we have a cloud that Issa Belua doesn't go mikli or kli b'li roitiv. But the Ramah says that if you have a chatsuva, which is a tripod, and you use it for, you make a fire on the ground under the tripod, and then you put the pot on top of the tripod. The tripod has a ring on top of it, and you put the pot on top of it,
and the heat goes under the pot. That tripod, you want to use it for chametz, now you want to use it for Pesach, you don't have to make a libun chomer. A libun kal is sufficient. Why? Because you're cooking in a pot, and the pot is touching the top of the tripod, which you are trying to kasher. So why do you have to kasher in the first place? We have a klal that is a balua, doesn't go with kli or kli b'roitiv. We're afraid that maybe it spilled over and the roitiv went between it. So for that, being afraid, it's good enough to make libun kal. So because it's a chash and with samach, then on the sheet is that libun kal is sufficient. So in the oven, it's the same thing. We only have to be afraid that maybe something, the chametz, maybe touched a rack, not intentionally. It's the exact same thing as a tripod. They were afraid maybe the chametz spilt over. So the Mishnah Berurah says that we can be samach lachatchila on libun kal.